high achieving women stay stuck. And I'm going to tell you 3 big reasons that I've seen over the past 5 years working with over 100 women in leadership roles, from senior managers all the way up to executives, that is keeping them stuck, is keeping them overlooked, exhausted, and working twice as hard for half the recognition. Now, if this is for you, then this is going to be a great video to watch today, because I'm going to share with you 3 key reasons why this is happening. And this is just the first in a series that I'm going to be doing in the next couple of days, which is going to be talking about so I can help you position yourself for 2026. So if you're watching this, hello, drop in the comments just where you're watching this from, or a thumbs up. I would love to see that. And if you've got any questions, of course, keep adding them in the comments as we go. All right. So if you are a high achieving woman, if you are in a leadership role, you're a manager, senior manager, director, and you're exhausted from working twice as hard for half that recognition, this is where I wanted to share with you today. That the reason you're not getting promoted doesn't have anything to do with your competence or your work ethic or even your results, because most of the time people don't even know what you're getting done, or only your boss knows, but the rest of the organization doesn't. But it has to do with everything to do with how you're communicating. And this is one of those things that I have found when I did my MBA, when I did my leadership training, and even my high potential training in my organizations. They didn't tell me any of this. Well, you kind of think I kind of assumed at the beginning when I was in corporate, I was like, oh, man, it's just the old boys club. Nothing seems to be working. But what I'm telling you today has been very effective for the women that I'm working with. So as some clients have had this year has just been absolutely skyrocketing. I had one client who had accomplished a new role in a new organization and secured over $100,000 raise on her previous salary. I've also just had a message this week from one of my clients who has gotten promoted, yay, but not only that, has already positioned herself to move into that next level role and again, a new promotion in the next coming 3 to 6 months in the next year. So within 6 months, she'll have been promoted 2 levels, as well as having other clients who have who have been able to solve the problems I'm going to share with you today and have translated that into new strategic leadership roles. Or as one of them was absolutely phenomenal, and I'm so proud of her, was able to jump 3 levels in a new organization within 6 months of starting there. So if you already know, because you may or be like, oh, what are we talking about today? If you already know right now that you don't want to repeat 2025, I want you to DM me 2026, comment below 2026, and I'll help you plan your next smartest move so that you are flying into January with the momentum that you need. So let me paint a picture and tell me if this sounds familiar for you. You're the one everyone comes to when things need to get done. Maybe you're the one that's being praised for, hey, you're so reliable, you're doing a great job. We love the fact that you catch all the details. But when it comes to promotions, you're told you're not quite ready yet. Meanwhile, you get to watch your male colleagues, often with less experience, fewer results, and frankly, a lot less competence at times. I'm going to qualify that, not always, but oftentimes was my experience in corporate. They get promoted ahead of you. You're like, what do I have to do in order to get anywhere close to the same results? And here's where it gets even worse. You've likely tried everything. You have worked longer hours. You're taking on more projects. You have proven yourself over and over again. You are probably even picking up the pieces of your team. If they're not getting things done, well, you'll review it, you'll pick it up, and you'll do it. And yet, nothing changes. And if that's you, you're not alone, because this is the exact pattern I see with almost every high achieving woman that I have worked with over the past well, almost 5 years. 5 years, yeah, January will be your 5th year anniversary. So here's what I want to give you today. And that is not that you are the problem, but the approach that you're using, the strategies that you're using don't work for you. They don't work for women. They don't really work for anybody. So let's talk about the problem of what's happening. Now, the first big problem that I see is that you're likely doing is you're over explaining, which is going to give you at times you're going to get the feedback like, oh, well, you're really in the weeds, or maybe they're not sure really quite what they're doing, but you tend to over explain in order to prove your credibility. You think if I can give enough context, enough details, enough background, if I can give enough data analysis, they'll see me as credible. But what everybody else is actually getting is like, oh, well, they're not really sure what they're doing. You likely have lost them before you even got to point 3. And it is certainly not coming across as being a leader and not being strategic. Meanwhile, you've got your male colleagues that just say, here's what we need to do, X, Y, and Z. People nod and they move forward. That is problem number 1. You're over explaining, which is leading to you being seen as someone who is too much in the details, too much in the weeds. Problem number 2. For this one, you are over functioning. And what I mean by over functioning, you are doing too much of the work for your teams, which instead of delegating that work, which leads to being an invisible as a leader. Because you keep thinking, if I do more, they'll see my value. But what they're really seeing is someone who's a great executor, but is not a leader. Meanwhile, your male colleagues get to delegate everything and are getting credit for leading an incredible team and getting results. So again, problem number 2, you are doing too much of the carrying the work for your team. You're carrying your team rather than leading your team. Problem number 3, and this was a big insight for one of my clients this year, is that she realized that all the work that she was doing, nobody was seeing it. She's like, it's like I'm working in the dark. And then her boss would come in off the golf course, having talked to an acquaintance, and they have a brand new strategy that they're implementing in their organization. Guess who they would walk into? Yes, my client's office, and tell her like, oh, we need to do this strategy and that strategy. And she'd be just like, oh, how is this possible? I have an entire strategy. If you would just listen to me. And she realized, and as we were working together, I kept telling her, I'm like, you need to talk about what you're doing. You need to communicate what your ideas are. You need to communicate where you are in determining this strategy, setting out the strategy, the actions you're taking in the strategy. But it is about communication, because as long as you're working in your office in the dark, not really sharing anything until it's perfectly 100% done and ready, that means you're not going to get any recognition. Meanwhile, you may have other colleagues who are making sure everybody knows what they are doing and what their contributions were before, after, during any and every project. So when we put these 3 elements together, these 3 problems, it creates a pattern. And this doesn't mean that you're not leadership material. It just simply means that you're not communicating in a way that makes it easy for the people to look at you and say, hey, she's the one that we need. Rather, it makes it extremely easy for people to overlook you, while your male counterparts communicate in a way that makes it impossible to ignore. And I get it. I mean, I spent 20 years in corporate myself, and I thought the way to create results, to climb the corporate ladder, to get into that next leadership role was by working really hard and thinking, you know what? My hard work is going to speak for itself. My turn is coming. That if I could just do a good enough job, people would notice. And I don't want to be tooting my own horn. I get to be humble and I get to be helpful, because that's what good leaders do. Except that didn't really work. And for each of the women that I work with, they have discovered, this isn't working. What this is leading to is me being exhausted, on the edge of burnout. I have a team that is like constantly in the Slack. Hey, could you check this? Could you just answer this question really quick? And they're not taking responsibility. They're spending their time blaming everybody else for mistakes that they're responsible for. And here's what I missed, even in my MBA, and this is what I missed in all the generic management training that I had throughout my corporate career, was that something that people never told me, which is that in a corporate environment, perception is reality. How people perceive me is the reality. How people perceive you. What is your leadership brand in the organization? And guess what? You have one. Before you tell me like, oh, I haven't worked on it. I don't really do. I'm not talking like I don't do all these things. I work hard and I get things done. Great. But guess what? If you are not actively building your leadership brand, somebody else is either managing it or you're completely invisible. Now, when you start defining the narrative, your leadership brand, it's going to be changing from, hey, she's really great at execution, but she's not really ready for that next role yet, to when you start to actively manage it, when you are strategic about how you communicate and what you communicate with whom, then it becomes eminently clear for everybody involved that you are exactly who needs to be that next leader. You have positioned yourself and almost secured that next promotion without having to show up as somebody else and without having to work even longer hours. And when we work together, I make sure you get hours back. One of my clients, with working together with her team and creating a very highly accountable team, she reclaimed 20 hours of her week every single week. She was working late nights until like 10, 11 o'clock at night, early mornings and weekends. Now she gets to shut off at 5 o'clock and think, I have had an excellent day, and her team is functioning even when she goes on holidays. So these are the three elements, again, or the three problems, three reasons why you are finding it really hard and you're finding yourself stuck in not moving forward and getting that result of a promotion or a salary raise or even a new role in 2025. And one, you're over explaining, which means you look like you're constantly in the weeds or lost in the details. Two, you're over functioning. You're doing too much of the work for your teams, which is leading to you being invisible in your leadership. And three, you're likely working in the dark, off on your own, waiting till it's 100% perfect before you show up, which means you're not getting any recognition either. So 2026 can be different. And I'm going to share in this video series in the coming days how we can make different moves and how you can make the different moves before January even hits. But I also want to give you the opportunity that if you know right now that you want 2026 to be different, you want to be positioned as that obvious next leader, not the one who's still going to think, let me just work a little bit harder and then I'm going to get the recognition. I want you to comment or DM me the word 2026. Okay, so 4 numbers, 2026. And then we're going to have a conversation together and I'll help you figure out what your smartest move is. And I have got at least 3 different options. So I know regardless of your budget, we can find an option that fits for you, that positions you for 2026 right now, rather than you hoping and praying, hey, let's see if January is going to bring a different result. It doesn't. Yes, the calendar changes, the year changes. But unfortunately, if you decide to continue with the same actions you've done this year, nothing else is going to change. So I can't wait to see you. I'd love to have a conversation around how do we make 2026 your year. And make sure you keep following me. If it's the first time you're joining me, great, fantastic. Hit the follow button, because in the next video, which I'm going to do tomorrow, I'm going to break down how you can make that first shift. So when we talk about all your over explaining, how you can start making a shift in that and how you communicate before January even starts. And because with one little shift, you're going to notice a lot of effect in your meetings, in your conversations with leaders, and how you are perceived. Again, it is about actively and strategically managing your leadership brand and how you communicate throughout the organization. That is going to get you the recognition, the leadership, as well as that strategic ability that you are craving. Thank you so much for listening, and I'd love to see any and all of your questions. And if you know if this video can help somebody else, please feel free to share. We'll talk to you tomorrow.